or like traditional celebrations that are really popular in India, like national holidays and.
Okay, India is big on festivals. It's a secular country. So by that we mean that there are all the religions in one country, and predominantly it's a Hindu country, but all the festivals are given enough importance, and everybody has the right to practice their own religion. So we celebrate all festivals. Like I have a Christmas tree in my house, although I'm a Hindu, and this is not a practice I've developed in Canada, but I've been doing it from India itself.
What was your favorite holiday?
I think all the holidays are my favorite.
Well, what was a really fun one? What's a really, really fun holiday?
Okay, I would say Holi, because as a kid, you know, you get to play with colors, you get to be messy and nobody's stopping you from being messy, and you know, you're playing with your friends, you're putting water over them, or you're putting colors.
So what do you do during Holi? What do you do during that time?
Holi is actually a harvest festival celebrated in the north of India. It's become a culture to celebrate it everywhere because it's so much fun. You play with dry colors and you play with wet colors, and you just come outside the house and anybody can color you. It's like, you know,
you just throw colors.
Yeah, you just throw colors and nobody minds you dirtying them, unless there's somebody who's in a bad mood or something. Nobody minds you throwing. It's something you expect. If you're walking out of your house, then you expect color to be thrown on you.
So is it just like paints and stuff?
It's not regular paints. We have dry colors made of arrowroot powder.
Okay.
And then they put colors in them.
Yeah.
Or else they have colors that are available. Like you have your food color.
Yeah.
You add it to the water and you make buckets, and you have these water guns, and they're traditionally called pitchkaris, but now you have all those modern water guns that have come about. You enjoy to use them. Or you just pick up a bucket and throw it on somebody with colored water, you know. And
that's so much fun.
It's so much fun,
so
yeah.
much fun.
And then you have typical sweets made for that festival. It's like a wonton, which is filled with sweet savories and stuff. So.
Can you tell us a little bit about the clothing worn in India and what, like, the different parts of your clothing, like what kind of meaning they have, or some details about the clothing?
We have lots of provinces in India, and every province has its own typical traditional clothing. But what is worn most commonly is the sari, which is like a 5-meter cloth, which is draped with pleats in the front, and then you have a little flap coming up here. It's worn with a blouse. That's for the ladies. The men traditionally wore dhoti, which is again a piece of cloth that is tied in a typical way, and a kurta, which is a long shirt. But now people only wear these traditional clothes for festivals or weddings.
Okay.
On a regular basis, you wouldn't see people wearing these traditional clothes. And what is more popular as traditional clothing today is either sari, which is worn formally. If you go to an office or somewhere, you would see a lady dressed in a sari, or something like this, a salwar kameez, which is called, you know, a formal traditional outfit. So this is called a kurta, and I'm wearing a tight underneath, which is called a churidar, and we usually wear it with a dupatta, which is a scarf.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about what the red dot is? That my class keeps asking about it, and they'd like to know a little bit more.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. The bindi denotes your marital status. If you're a married lady, you wear a red bindi, and also you apply vermilion on the forehead, which is like a red powder which we apply. And the red dot denotes the third eye, basically. So they say if you cover the third eye, your focus is more intense, like you get more focused in life. And the red color is only for married women, but the girls can wear a black or any other color that they want.
We ate some very interesting food today, but you said that while we were eating, actually, you were mentioning how the food is not very typical of what is like everyday food for Indians. And so can you tell us a little bit more about what is typical food?
typical food in an Indian house would be lentils. By lentils, I mean it's more of a yellow. It's not chickpea. It's called red gram or the white gram. These are those small little pulses which we cook into a thick soup. And we have flat bread called chapatis, or we also call them roti. And we have a vegetable dish which is cooked with a lot of spices and herbs, and that's what predominantly makes our food. So on a plate we will have the dal, which is the pulses, which is like a thick soup with roti, and we would have some salad and a vegetable which is cooked. And it's usually very spicy, or we might have a curry. And rice, which is usually plain rice.
Okay. Could you tell us a little bit more about the money and how money works in India, and what makes it different from Canadian money?
India so far was into cash interaction. People would have a lot of cash in their wallets, unlike Canada where you usually use plastic money, right? You have the credit cards and your debit cards, and a person doesn't really need to have cash on hand. But in India, if you go to a small business like a grocer or a vendor, they would not have the interact with them. So you would have to have cash. But the latest development is that they're trying to do away with that cash interaction, so that there's less corruption, less hiding away of money, which leads to corruption.
Okay.
Because the poor man did not have a bank account now. He would just earn his money and keep it in his home, which is not safe.
Yeah.
If somebody came and robbed him, or there's a fire, it would just all be gone.
Wow.
Yeah. But even now I feel cash interaction is more common there than it is in Canada.
And what is money called in?
It's called the rupee.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that would be sort of like the dollar here.
Yes.
Yeah.
The coins, we have a 1 rupee coin or a 50. Anything less than a rupee is paisa. So 1 rupee is made up of 100 paisas. So like you have your pennies and your quarters. And, yeah, we have paisas.
How does the government work in India? Because we have a prime minister that's elected, and how does it work in India?
So we have a democracy in India. The government is voted like it is here, but the head of the country is the president, and he's more of a representative head. He does not really have a say in the functioning of the government per se. It's like having the Queen in England. She is the head of the country, but she's not really involved in much of the functioning. The head of the government is the Prime Minister, who is into the functioning of the government.
Okay, so there's a president and a prime minister.
And a Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is elected by the public, but the President is elected by the government. And each state has its Chief Minister, like you have the Premier here. We call them the Chief Minister, who is the head of the state.
Okay.
And we also have a governor in the state.
Do you know anything about kind of the history of India? Any interesting historical facts?
The history of India is very, very interesting. India was made up of kingdoms. There were many kingdoms that existed. Then the Mughals invaded. They came from Turkey and Iran. What happened in the process was a lot of culture got mixed. Things like watermelons or roses, they did not exist in India before the Mughals came. Even the clothing, and also the Islam came because of the Mughals. They brought Islam as a religion with them. After the Mughals came the East India Company, which was the British, and they came in to do business, and they took over India and they ruled India for, I think, over 100 years, I think. So then came the influence of English and the English culture. So today if you meet a regular Indian who's educated, they would be very good at English. I mean, we're taught in English in schools.
So lots of people know.
So
lots of
majority, that is the educated class, would know English. Even if they're not very good at speaking sometimes, they would still be able to write and read English. India is actually a melange of a lot of cultures that has come.
Is there anything else that you want to add that you feel like the textbook probably is not going to say very much about, and like from real world experience in India?
What I would like a child in Canada to know is that India is a country which is emerging as a modern country now, and there's a lot of technology that's coming out. The new technology is there, and cities are developing, but because it's a small country and the population is too big, you have a big chunk of people that are poor. The rich are very rich, then there's a middle class. You can see a big crowd of poor on the streets, or you can see a big area of slums. But at the same time, you can see a lot of big mansions and big houses with lots of luxury. You can see very expensive cars, imported cars. So there is that huge class divide you can very easily see in India.
Well, thanks so much for telling us so much about India. I'm sure that we all really enjoyed listening to all the interesting things we were talking about, and now we know so much about India, so this is great. Thanks so much.
You're welcome, and it was a pleasure having you over, Nicole.
Thank
And I
you.
want to say namaste to your whole class. Namaste.
Namaste.